You are sitting close enough to the fire that the smoke keeps finding your face. It stings your eyes. It catches in your throat. You turn away, breathe again, and then the wind changes. The smoke follows you. For most of human history, this was normal. Fire meant warmth, light, cooked food, protection from animals, a place to survive the dark. It also meant breathing whatever the flames released. But at some point, something changed. Someone stopped treating smoke as a problem to escape and began treating it as something worth seeking. That is the real beginning of smoking, not the invention of the cigarette, not tobacco plantations, not even the first carved pipe. The beginning was the first moment a human deliberately placed a plant near heat, leaned toward the smoke, and waited for it to change something inside the body. So when did that happen? The honest answer is that archaeology cannot give us a single day, person, or place. Smoke disappears, leaves decay, wooden pipes rot. Even a carefully prepared bundle of plants can vanish completely while the stones around it survive for thousands of years. To understand the beginning, you first have to separate three different things. Humans living with smoke, humans noticing that different plants produce different effects, and humans deliberately recreating those effects. The first stage is ancient beyond easy comprehension. At Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, researchers found burned bone and plant ash deep inside the cave, in layers dating to about 1 million years ago. Whatever exact control those early humans had over fire, burning was happening far from the open entrance. Fire had already entered human life. And once humans lived beside fire, they breathed smoke. Every day, wood was not the only material that burned. Dry grass, bark, animal dung, leaves, seeds, roots, and aromatic plants could all end up in a flame. Each produced a different smell. Some made the eyes burn. Some drove insects away. Some made breathing difficult. Others may have made people calmer, drowsier, dizzy, alert, or confused. You do not need modern chemistry to notice that. You only need memory. Imagine a group returning to the same fire after gathering plants. One branch fills the shelter with bitter smoke. Another keeps mosquitoes away. A third makes everyone cough. A fourth creates an unusual feeling that remains after the flames weaken. The first discovery may have been accidental. The second would not have to be. That is where ordinary exposure becomes experimentation. Someone remembers what happened. Someone finds the plant again. Someone throws it into the fire on purpose. But an experiment performed with leaves and smoke leaves almost nothing behind. A stone tool can survive for 1 million years. A burned seed may survive under rare conditions. A cloud of smoke survives for seconds. This is why the oldest evidence we have is probably much younger than the behavior itself. One of the most remarkable clues comes from the Wishbone site in the Utah desert. Archaeologists found 4 charred tobacco seeds in an ancient hearth dated to roughly 12,300 years ago. The discovery pushed known human interaction with tobacco thousands of years deeper into the past. But the seeds do not tell us exactly what the people were doing. They may have burned tobacco for its smoke. They may have chewed parts of the plant and dropped the seeds into the fire. The plant may have served a practical, medicinal, or ritual purpose. The discovery proves that people brought tobacco into a hearth-side human space. It does not prove that they smoked it in the way you imagine today. That distinction matters. Archaeology often gives you the object but not the intention. A burned seed can tell you that a plant met fire. It cannot tell you who inhaled, why they inhaled, or what they believed was happening. For clearer evidence of deliberate psychoactive smoke, we have to move much closer to the present. Around 500 BCE, people at the Jerzankal cemetery in the eastern Pamirs placed cannabis in wooden braziers during mortuary rituals. Chemical analysis found cannabis residues associated with plants that produced unusually high levels of psychoactive compounds. These were not random weeds falling into a cooking fire. The plants were being burned in a controlled ritual setting. The smoke was part of the ceremony. Ancient written descriptions show similar practices elsewhere. Herodotus describes Scythians entering enclosed spaces, throwing hemp seeds onto hot stones, and reacting intensely to the vapor. His account was written centuries after the first human experiments with smoke, and it cannot tell us where the practice began. But it shows that by the 5th century BCE, deliberate communal inhalation of cannabis smoke was already recognizable enough to be recorded by an outside observer. And that tells you something larger than the age of cannabis use. By that point, humans were not merely inhaling smoke. They understood that certain plants could change perception, emotion, and group experience. They selected those plants, they prepared a space, they heated them, and they shared the result. Smoking had become knowledge, it had become ritual, it may also have become medicine. Smoke delivers plant chemicals quickly through the lungs, but ancient people did not need to understand lungs, receptors, or molecules to discover that inhaled substances could act fast. They only needed repeated experience. A plant is burned, a person breathes it, pain changes, coughing changes, sleep comes, fear softens, a vision appears, or someone becomes violently ill. The group remembers. That last part is easy to overlook. Early smoking was probably not invented once. It was likely discovered repeatedly in different places with different plants. Tobacco in the Americas, cannabis across parts of Eurasia, aromatic and medicinal herbs in other regions. There was no single global invention, because there was no single substance and no single purpose. People could inhale smoke to repel insects, to treat symptoms, to enter ritual states, to communicate with ancestors, to strengthen group identity, or simply to repeat an effect they found desirable. The behavior was one tool with many meanings. That may explain why it became deeply rooted in so many human cultures. Fire already gathered people together. It created a circle of light in the dark. It gave the group a shared center. Adding a plant to that fire could change not only one person, but everyone breathing the same air. A smell could become a signal. A sensation could become a ceremony. A repeated ceremony could become tradition. And once a tradition carried authority, the knowledge no longer depended on one person remembering an accident. It could pass from elders to children, from healers to apprentices, from one generation to the next. The oldest smoking traditions were probably not casual habits. They were controlled because the plants could be powerful. The difference between useful smoke and dangerous smoke was learned through consequences. Some plants soothed, some poisoned, some altered awareness gently. Others could cause panic, vomiting, unconsciousness, or death. Prehistoric experimentation was not safe. There were no labels, no measured doses, no written warnings. There was only observation. How much plant was used? Was it placed directly in the flame or on a heated stone? Was the space open or enclosed? How long did people remain inside? How did the body react? Did the effect help, harm, or do nothing? The people who survived remembered. The people around them remembered too. That is how knowledge worked before books. Experience carried inside living minds. So when did ancient humans first start smoking? It depends on what you mean by smoking. If you mean living in smoke, the story reaches back at least to very early human fire use. If you mean using a specific plant beside a hearth, the wishbone tobacco seeds show that human interaction with tobacco was present around 12,300 years ago. If you mean clear, deliberate inhalation of psychoactive smoke in a ritual setting, the Pamir cannabis braziers give us direct evidence from about 2,500 years ago. But none of those dates is likely to mark the true first time. The first smoker probably left no pipe, no written record, no recognizable grave. There may have been only a fire, a plant, a change in the air, and a human mind capable of connecting one moment to the next. Last time that plant burned, I felt different. What happens if I do it again? That thought is small, but it contains something enormous. Observation, memory, cause and effect, the willingness to repeat an experience on purpose. The beginning of smoking was not really the invention of a product. It was the discovery that the invisible air around a fire could be manipulated, chosen, and used. Long before humans could explain chemistry, they were already testing it with their lungs. And somewhere in the deep past, smoke stopped being only what fire produced. It became something humans made the fire produce on purpose.